Talking to Frosty podcast, the show where I get to hang out and talk to some of my more interesting, sometimes strange, and just sometimes downright weird friends. So sit back, turn off your brain, and turn up your radio. Thank you for tuning in, and welcome to the show. All right, so thank you all for tuning back into the Talking to Frosty podcast. Here in lovely South Park, Seattle, Washington. Is he sneezing on you?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Well, I mean, he did, but he didn't sneeze on me.
He has these sneeze attacks where it's like snot just flies everywhere. Before we get started, I have to give a shout out to our sponsors. Today, our episode is brought to you today by Electric Kitty Enterprises. Go to electrickitty.redbubble.com. Check out abstract art designs on t-shirts, dresses, blankets, pillows, phone covers, journals, and more. That's right, electrickitty.redbubble.com. Please support the arts and this channel. Thank you very much, everybody. So on this podcast, I get to talk to some of my more interesting, sometimes strange, and sometimes really weird friends. And speaking of weird, today we have a good friend of mine. What is your full name, sir?
My name is Scott Rozell. Scott Robert Rozell.
Scott Robert Rozell.
Yeah.
And what is the, I think we were talking earlier about the middle name factor being something with your family.
Yeah, so my middle name is my dad's first name, and it just works through generations. So, like, my dad's name is Robert. His middle name is Leon, which is my grandpa's first name. And then his name is Leon Bernard Rozell. And then, so my grandpa Leon's dad, my great-grandpa, his name was Bernard.
Right on.
It just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, so is your daughter's middle name Scott?
No, no. It seems it's only with the guys.
With the dudes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
My middle name is Sherman, which is my grandfather on my mother's side, who I met when I was like a year old. I don't remember at all. He died, I believe, like on maybe I was like 1 or 2 or something. I barely remember the guy, but there's pictures of him, and it's super weird to like look at these pictures and go like, he doesn't look like me at all. And then there's these home movies that I think my uncle got all these home movies, and they put them on a VHS tape for you and put a little background noise on them and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're just walking around together in the 50s and stuff, and 50s and 60s or something, driving their mid-century modern, well, they didn't call it mid-century modern, but they had all these cars and everything, and pool parties and lots of drinks flowing all the time, and that's how the Irish people got down, I guess.
Right.
A lot of drinking. There's been a couple times where he would look at the camera and it was just like, oh my god, that looks it's fucking creepy. Like, my cousins look like him, but I don't think I look like him. And then just every once in a while, it's pretty wild. So you are over here today. You drove from not Rathdrum, but Hayden, Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lived over there for a while. Not very long in Hayden, but I've lived in that area for a good majority of my life. I'm from Portland, Oregon, but I moved there when I was, I think, 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So I've been there, most of my life.
It's beautiful over there, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never gotten off the freeway in Coeur d'Alene, I highly recommend. Every time I've been in bands and we've been on tour and stuff or whatever, like passing through that area or something, we just never really got off the freeway because we just thought it was like full of Nazis or something. So it was either like get gas, take a shit, and then just like get onto the next get onto the next thing. And then when I met the Scatterbox guys, I got to go for like a couple hours, like I was, before I had to meet him for like a pre-video meeting thing that we were having. I just drove around. I was just like, God, it's like out of a storybook. I was just like, this is like a John Cougar Mellencamp video. I mean, it was just like, this is like what America was supposed to look like. It wasn't supposed to look like Detroit or something. It's like
a John Denver song.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho just is, it's amazing. Every time I go there, it just gets harder to leave leave. I mean, there's so many like little things there, like this really good breakfast place. It's super cheap. It's not the greatest food ever, but it's fun, you know, and you get to kind of, you know, laugh under your breath at all the rednecks and stuff. And
Are you talking about the Breakfast Nook?
oh my god, that place is awesome.
Yeah, that place is pretty cool.
Yeah. Everybody that works there is super cool.
Yeah.
Not a mask amongst anybody there. Like, I don't even know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny, you know? But I mean, it seems like a lot of the big corporations have been kind of like not allowed there, but like, but I mean, there's no big mall there or anything, or, you know, there's not like a, you know, there's not like a Hot Topic there, or
yeah. There used to be a mall. Well, I mean, there still is, but it's not really a mall anymore. They partitioned it off and turned it into like a bunch of different places. There's like a call center in it now, and like a gym, and I think a Joanne Fabric is in there, but I don't think there's anything inside it anymore. I mean, if there is, it's probably just a few shops, but yeah, it was like Coeur d'Alene years ago had like this attempt at an indoor, like a giant indoor mall, which ended up not being very giant, and yeah, I mean, it did okay for a while, but then it just kind of fell apart. So now they lease out the building sectioned off and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's changed a lot in the last 10-20 years. I mean, especially in the last couple of years, like a lot of people have like migrated there, like basically it's like a place where tourists go and then they never leave.
Yeah,
they just end up staying.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, yeah, like I said, every time I go there, it's just like, I mean, it's like, oh god, I gotta go back to like, you know, tweakers and traffic and, you know, like,
oh, we have plenty of those
fucking
over there.
shootings and, you know, like there was a guy that got hit in the head with a baseball bat like across the street from my job last night, I guess. I didn't see it, but, you know, the cops were there and, you know, asking everybody if they saw anything, and I was like, fuck, this is my reality. And then you go to a place like Coeur d'Alene where it's quiet. Like you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's reasonably safe, I guess, over there. You know, they have their own problems. I mean, you know, but I don't know. I like it's nice because it's close to Spokane. So I guess if you need to get into, you know, a more urban area for whatever the reason is, you know, it's right around the corner. And yeah, I don't know. It's just the whole Idaho scene is a
lot of people heavily armed.
And a lot of guns.
Lots of coffee. It sounds like there's like really good coffee over there. Like really good drive-through coffee. There's
like a coffee stand every 10 feet.
Yeah. People are just hyped up on coffee, just ready to fucking go to war. It seems like, you know, I think the last time I was there, I saw a truck that had a sticker on the window that said like "Got Freedom," and I was just like, well, what happens if you smoke a joint here?
Right.
You go to prison.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird how like the whole mask thing has somehow translated into the only form of freedom that people focus on anymore right now. Like, because it's become such a hot button issue, you know?
Sure.
It's a trip.
Yeah, they call us, you know, I mean, I'm not saying those people, but like the people in the cities and stuff that are doing the responsible thing are called snowflakes.
Right.
These people get so pissed. Like, I've just learned that, like, I mean, I've met some of the nicest people when I was over in Spokane, and I just know it's because like I don't talk about religion or politics to anybody.
Right.
And that's how it should be. I mean, that's what you learn as a kid is like, if you want to have friends, don't talk about religion or politics because it always ends up in a war.
Yeah,
and these people are not people I want to go to war with.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what kind of military training they have or whatever, but I mean, you know, just anybody that's like on way too much coffee and is just looking for a reason to shoot off their gun at somebody or something instead of just like some trees or whatever they I mean, I know there's a lot of hunting, and I know that people.
Well, and that's the thing is like growing up there, tons of friends and family that was kind of the whole culture of the gun thing in northern Idaho anyway, and just anywhere. I mean, it seemed like where I live, like a lot of my friends, you know, they've always owned guns, and they know. I mean, it's not something that everybody obsessed over or talked about all the time, and they just use it for hunting. Like there's just a lot of hunting there, and now, like in the last year or two, it's like. People are not like my friends that, you know, I grew up with. That I mean, they're all still just doing their thing, you know. But there's so many people that have moved there who just seem to think that like that's all there is to talk about, or like that's what you have to like that's what you have to brag about constantly just to be considered like socially acceptable there or whatever, you know.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Bring your most offensive Trump flag.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, like, yeah, it's strange. It's really strange because historically, with the exception of the whole, you know, Aryan Nation deal, that, you know, that whole thing and them getting run out of town, Coeur d'Alene apparently was, from what I understand, I was probably too young at the time, but apparently Coeur d'Alene, that area was really liberal, and it was really a lot of hippies there and shit. A lot of people who immigrated from like Canada and stuff, and just all, yeah, it was. And then I don't know, like the last few years, or I don't know. I guess it's been going on for a while, but there's a bit of a change. I think it just kind of comes naturally with a lot of the people that have kind of wound up there from feeling like they had to, you know, I don't even know what the right term would be for it is like being a refugee from their state
Sure.
that they came from, you know, like it's like they're trying to seek refuge in a place that really isn't a whole lot different.
A place that will
it's pretty prettier, I guess.
That will welcome with open arms who are completely intolerant to everything else.
Pretty much, it seems like it. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, like in a way, because there's a lot of people that are there that have moved in the last little while who kind of don't get it.
Yeah.
But I mean that you know, it just is what it is.
They're just coming with all guns blazing, thinking that that's
literally
the culture there. Yeah, that's the culture there. It's like, you know, like if I, you know, this is how I feel, but I live in California. Like I live in California, and I can't be this person here, but up there I can be whatever I want, you know. And
exactly.
Yeah. So and they, you know, they think that's the image because the residual like sort of white supremacist sort of vibe that was there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and some of those guys are probably, I mean, with the exception of the ones that are, you know, older and died, you know, like Richard Butler and Arthur, or what was that other guy's name? I think it was Arthur Sherman or something like that. Those guys are dead. They've, you know, long gone.
Tom Metzger just passed away, I think, last year. Fuck, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah, there's a few of those guys, like probably from the compound, that are kind of still around, but they used to lay really low, you know what I mean? Like they'd hide out because I mean nobody really gave a shit and nobody wanted anything to do with them, and like it seems in the last couple of years, like I don't know, like it seems to have reared its ugly head a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Donald Trump made it okay to like be those people again, you know, and you know, which is unfortunate. I don't know. I guess maybe they have faces again, because for a while there, you know, when I was a kid, my brother and I had a pretty big hand in chasing a lot of the Nazis out of Seattle and stuff. I mean, we used to fight those guys all the time and stuff. And the funny thing about those guys is that they're really not any different than like any other person. You know, people look at those guys and think that they're like the scariest motherfuckers on the planet, and they're just guys who are like, you know,
kind of misguided.
Just kind of like,
need to find a better hobby, I guess, or just a hobby in general.
Yeah. But I mean, they're not any tougher than the average, like, just, you know, dumb like jock dude or something. You know, but I mean, the funny thing too is like whenever you'd see those guys on TV like marching down like Government Avenue, or what's the big main drag down there? Is it Sherman Avenue?
Sherman,
yeah.
Downtown.
Yeah, you'd see those guys marching, and there'd be like hundreds of them, right? But I mean, like from what I was told by Tom and everybody there was that, you know, there's only like maybe like 6 or 8 of those guys like on the compound at any given time, but every time you'd see those guys on TV, it's because everybody flew into town, and you know, and
right,
and then they you know, but that could only happen there. Like they've tried to do that here, and they got like rocks flung at them and stuff, and you know, chased and whatever and stuff. And I don't know, maybe Idaho is just kind of not all of Idaho, but I mean, like maybe that area there has like I don't know, like maybe they just kind of let them do their thing, and people just kind of ignore them, and hopefully they just kind of fuck off. But
well, that was kind of the thing, is that they years ago they did have they would get formal permits to have like parades, and they would do a march, you know. And I think they did it. All I remember, and I mean, I never paid a lot of attention to it to begin with, but I remember they had one, and Northwest Cable News was there, and a bunch of shit went down. But then the next year, I think they tried to have another one, and everybody just ignored it, and nobody showed up to go protest it, to get like you know what I mean? Like, people were going down there to protest it, and they were giving them attention. It was kind of what they wanted. And then the next year, nobody showed up, and then businesses closed on purpose that day. So just there was nobody down there. So I think after a year or two of them attempting that again, I think they kind of just backed off. And then the incident happened with the Keenans, and then they got their asses sued off and run out of town, and the compound's gone and all that. But lately I don't really see, like, I don't know, I'm so busy. I'm home a lot. I work from home most of the time, and having just moved and stuff. But like ever since COVID started, I don't get out much as it is anymore. So like I'm not really privy to like what's actually happening in the town itself.
Like there's anywhere to go anyway.
Yeah. Other than what you see on like Facebook or like on the local news, which even then you got to take it with a grain of salt, because you know how Facebook is. It's like somebody will start a weird group, Rathdrum News or whatever, and people will.
That's how it was here. We had to get off the South Park Facebook thing. There was this neighborhoods thing, and you type in your neighborhood, and then there's a group for it, and everybody here, because South Park used to be kind of a gang infested area and stuff. There's a lot of different people that have moved in, and it's not so much the hood anymore. I guess there's parts that kind of look like the hood, but it's really not, it's not that bad. It's cleaned up a lot, but people on this Facebook thing would hear like a car backfire or something, and they thought it was like a gunshot, and they would just instantly post it, and it was just like, dude, come on.
There'd be like 80 comments of people going, I think it was a gun.
Like, have you ever heard a gunshot before? I lit off some like a little thing of like a little string of fireworks or something across the street one year for like New Year's Eve, and somebody thought it was like a semi-automatic weapon, and I'm just like, have you guys ever heard like a gun? Because there's only one thing in the world that sounds like a 9mm. It's a 9mm.
Right.
That's
they
it.
They have a very distinct sound. Guns do, compared to like fireworks.
Oh, when guns are going off, they're very loud and they're very scary.
There's like a more metallic kind of reverb to it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see how people would mistake it if they weren't familiar with it, but I mean, people are shooting off guns all over the fucking place where I live, so you just hear it because people are target practicing, everybody's got like 5-10 acres, and they're just either blowing shit up or setting shit on fire, or
That's awesome.
I mean, I've spent the last 2 weeks burning down trees and wood in old pallets, like on the property, like just torching it.
I think you can only do that in Tacoma. I don't think you could do it here.
You can't get a burn permit like in Seattle.
I mean, I've never tried, but I remember one time there was this. I lived in Hilltop in Tacoma, and my friend Gloria had this backyard, and there was like a tree stump back there, and I dug out the tree stump and decided to make a fire pit and everything. And it was pretty fun for a little while. And then one time I burned this old couch, and I cut it into pieces and just threw it in there like a piece at a time. But like I think the second piece like really caught fire, and the flames are really high. And I mean, it wasn't like out of control or anything, but it was getting up there.
It was enough to get somebody's attention.
Yeah, somebody called the fire department. And they came, and they kind of looked at it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, whatever. It's just a guy having a backyard barbecue or something, maybe, or whatever." And then and I asked the guy, I was like, "So do we need to get like any kind of permits or anything like that?" And he goes, "You know what? It's Tacoma. As long as you're not hurting anybody, like it's fine. You do whatever you want." So,
well, that's cool.
So let me ask, what does a person in Idaho do for fun other than drink lots of coffee and shoot guns?
I mean, I mean personally, I just do a lot of music stuff. I mean, there's a lot of outdoor stuff you can do around there, and like a lot of hiking trails and biking and all that shit. But I don't know. I mean, beyond that, it's like when the weather's crappy, you can only get away with that for so long throughout the year, unless you're a big skier or snowboarder or something. But I keep myself personally, I keep myself busy a lot with the record label and just making music and just doing as much of that stuff as I can. I'm kind of a homebody, so it kind of works out well that I can operate all that stuff from home and do that. But yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of churches. This is a lot of not like church like Christian churches, but a lot of like
there's a lot of like weird
cult type churches.
Yeah, like there was a guy that Tom and I met outside of a breakfast place one time, and he saw my Kiss shirt and was like, he's like, "Fuck yeah, brother!" And wanted to shake my hand. He had one of those like baseball glove like handshake grips, you know, where he just fucking breaks your hand off or something, just stares at you in the face like you're. Like
he's got to assert dominance.
Yeah, like he wants to meet you, but he also wants to kick your ass or something. Yeah, so he get those weird like just stare at you right in the eyes and calls you brother and stuff. I'm like, oh boy, you know. Jesus. But then he would tell me about like his church, and he's, you know, and then Tom was just like, you know, we get in the car later, and Tom was like, oh yeah, that's like a church that's, we're not gonna say it's racist, but it's kind of racist,
or it's just cultish. Yeah, there's this weird from what I understand, like even my parents like over the years have been like, yeah, it's a flat out cult. Like over by State Line there is, like just past the Greyhound Park, like as you're coming into the state, like headed toward Post Falls, just past the way station, I guess off the first exit, there's this place that does like they have like a big sign outside that used to advertise like, I think it was like pony rides or something for kids and like all this like kid oriented shit. And there's like this big like wooden painted train replica thing that's outside on this big piece of property.
Creepy.
And I guess it's some like cult that lives there, and they operate and they have like weird services there. Like,
you don't happen to know the name of the place, do you?
No, but everybody jokes around and just refers to them as Moonies. But,
okay. All right.
I don't even know if that's really what it is. But.
So look up Moonies, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And you know, find these highly agenda-driven churches.
Right.
That you know, there's been churches that I've seen that are pretty funny. I mean, Seattle's not a highly churched city, so there's a lot of the churches have disappeared. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a couple, and but I mean, yeah, there was one I believe was in Tacoma in the 80s called Church of the Creator, and that was kind of the neo-Nazi kind of thing or something.
Oh yeah,
very adrenaline. You know, they portrayed Jesus as like this white guy with like blonde hair, and he was a warrior, and I was just like, what? Don't you mean like Norse mythology kind of thing? I mean, like maybe just keep that. You know, they somehow figured out a way to blend the two and convinced a whole bunch of people and stuff, and it was just like, God, it's just like, man,
like it's one thing to like, you know,
it's no
to be a spiritual person and have, you know, like a religious you know, upbringing and have a belief structure, but I mean it's another thing to just have a full-blown bizarre agenda that doesn't really touch the ground, you know, with anything that resembles, you know, I guess being a decent person. There's a lot of evil people out there that have agendas that they're trying to basically get people on their team, I guess, who basically use like the Bible and everything as like the way to kind of smooth over stuff. You know, it's kind of like putting the cream in the really super fucking strong coffee. Right. You know? So just trying to interpret things out of the Bible as if it were, you know, if it were one like, thing when it's really another. And, it's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff out there, especially in Idaho. I mean, it seemed like everybody that's tried to tell me about their church or had a pamphlet or something, you know, or whatever, it was almost like being back in the day and having, you know, the white supremacists and stuff hand you like weird literature that, you know. And I don't know as to say like that all of them are like that. No. It just seems like a lot of folks, maybe it's the thing with the state is like it's easier to start a church there of your own. Sure. And I think that's just what's happened is a lot of people have started churches there. Yeah. And there's just so many of them right now. And they all like kind of do their own thing, and it's all going a lot of different directions, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'll back up though. To be honest, though, like Idaho's like Coeur d'Alene, like that area is over double the size it was. Even 10, 15 years ago.
Sure.
And a majority of the people there pretty much lay low. I mean, everybody there is pretty reasonably normal. It's just the folks who have moved there or the folks who are really kind of wingnuts,
Yeah.
They're the loudest. So they're the ones you kind of see, like, you hear more new, like, bizarre news stories and shit. We're like the Florida of the North, or whatever. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, a majority of the people that live there are pretty chill, like pretty quiet, and just kind of want to live their life and go to work every day, come home and just raise their kids and shit, and not get involved in the bullshit.
The last time I was there, Mark loaned me his car, and I remember I was sitting in a Fred Meyer parking lot trying to leave, and there was a person in front of me who just couldn't turn right until the entire street was clear for some reason. And I wanted to honk at him, but then I was like, you know what, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy from the city who's like honking at the little like rural old lady or something. Just be calm.
Yeah.
When in Rome, just fucking whatever. And then everybody talks about traffic, and I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, you saw firsthand today.
Yeah, the traffic isn't bad there.
No.
It just sucks, like, from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, it seems like. From 4 to 5, there's, like, an hour block of time that just sucks on 95 and, like, some of the busier roads. But, like, it's not like Seattle where it's rush hour from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Every
or 7
day,
p.m.
or
every
24 hours a day.
Yeah.
There's literally the Renton S curves on 405. It's I haven't been there, and it's not been traffic for like maybe 20 years or something. Like every time I have to go that way, like I'll take back roads or whatever and stuff. I get kind of anxiety just sitting in traffic and stuff.
Right.
And you can't get off, and there's no exits or nowhere to go. So sometimes I'll just take back roads because it feels like you're moving, and that's good.
Yeah, at least like you're making progress. Yeah.
You're not just sitting there going,
right. Why am I going
just
10
go
miles an hour?
5 more feet.
Yeah.
By 5 o'clock, that'd be great, or whatever. And I'm the driver who has anxiety attacks. So I just, I'll end up just fucking punching the steering wheel and stuff. And it's just fucking traffic. You're not going anywhere. So you just be cool. But
I'm just surprised that more people don't get pissed off at having to go like 10, 15 miles an hour in a 60 mile an hour highway. You know what I mean? Like some people just deal with it. Like they're just used to it. Like, okay, here's where I'm at right now, and I'm gonna be in the car for the next 2 hours, and I'm gonna make it 5 blocks.
Yeah.
So it's
crazy.
It's a trip.
Yeah. You go to there was like my wife and I were driving through Spokane, where she's originally from, and we were on I-90, and there was easily like a good like 5 or 6 car lengths in front of us and behind us, and then there was like a car next to us, and whatever, and she said that was rush hour, and I was like, this isn't bad at all. And everybody complains about the traffic there. I'm like, well, it's not as bad as it, or it's gotten a lot worse. And I'm like, from what to like 2 cars on the road? Like,
yeah,
it's wild. But
it could get bad because of people like the one you were talking about, who will sit and just take their sweet ass time to like, make a move on the road.
Yeah.
That's just how it is there.
Yeah.
Like everything moves kind of slow.
It's good. It's fine. You just it's probably okay to just throw your watch away, or whatever. Yeah. Just I mean that's great. I mean, like it feels like the days there last a little bit longer, and people there are pretty mellow for the most part, and time just seems to go slower there, and that's I think that's a beautiful part of it. Over here it's like you have a schedule. Like if you don't, everything's just like, you get super busy, and over there it's just fun to just kind of hang out and look for the best poke place or something, which I did find on Ramsey Road. So I think it's called Poke Works. So
Poke Works?
Poke Works, yeah.
Oh yeah, that place is good.
Yeah, so Poke Works, you now owe me something for shouting out on the podcast. Nice people too.
Fuck you, pay me.
Yeah, fuck you, pay.
Where's my money? Where's my check?
Any advice for anybody that would be trying to maybe start a record label, or any things that you would say not to do, or basically like how did you get your start in it? And
Black House. So Black House was the end result of basically the band that I was playing in needing to have some sort of a. Well, we didn't even really need to, but we just felt like it added legitimacy to what we were doing. The band I was playing, that I play with, Scatterbox, we made an album and we wanted to put it out, and rather than spending a bunch of time trying to shop it around to labels, we decided to just figure out and put it out ourselves, obviously, but I wanted to put some sort of a name on it, you know. I figured, well, if I'm gonna put all this time and effort into making a bunch of CDs and running them off and like putting them in stores and stuff, I might as well turn it into something. And that's kind of where Black House came from. The logo, I don't even know how I came up with the name. Honestly, I don't even remember.
I was thinking it sounded kind of like the White House. Like the White House, the Black House?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
I don't even know. Like, I really don't even remember.
Gonna go to the White House and paint it black.
I think we were just throwing words around and shit, and I just kind of annexed those together, and it sounded cool. And so I was screwing around on Photoshop with my old crappy Macintosh Performa computer from the 90s, and I had this like silhouette cutout picture of Michael Myers holding up like a hammer, and I used that as that was the first Black House logo. It was just like a silhouette of Michael Myers in it's all black, and he's like holding a hammer, and that was the logo for a while. We used to put that all over flyers, and then this band Against All Odds, we put out a CD EP thing by them, and then Scatterbox's album, and they were basically just CDRs. We were just running off CDRs, you know. I mean, if nothing else, it was just a demo. But then we did a split with this band American Zero, and then and then other bands were interested in putting something out, so it just kind of turned into that. I just started focusing more time on that as well, and 20 years later, it turned into like a legitimate thing. I mean, it wasn't until pretty late. I mean, kind of flew under the radar for a while. It wasn't until like 2008, 2009 that we had landed like actual real distribution that wasn't, you know, sending handfuls of CDs to like, 20 or 30 different places to carry it, but like one distributor that was carrying lots of, all of our stuff. At which point we had to start doing taxes and like filing a LLC and like making it like a real thing. And cut to today, it got to a point where it was like I was doing this so often and I enjoyed doing it so much that I was like, well, why don't I hit up, artists that don't live in the immediate area and see if they would be interested in putting something out. And lo and behold, people did. They were receptive to it and wanted to work with me and the label and all that. And it's kind of turned into a pretty cool thing over the years.
It is a cool thing. The vinyl is really cool. What's cool about it is that there's also hip hop on it. There's also like other kinds of music. It isn't just like one thing, which is really cool, because I mean there's a lot of labels like that'll just do metal or just rap or just whatever and stuff, and I think it's cool that that you do like just anything you want, which is what you should be able to do, is just do whatever the fuck you want. So anything that makes you happy and you think deserves to be heard by more than people in their little circle or something, then go ahead and put it out. I mean, why not? I mean,
well, it's like weird. It's like I understand the idea of people like running a label and putting out only one certain kind of music for the sake of a brand, right? Because then it's reliable. You know the marketing, and you go.
You know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, like you see it in the marketplace, and you're like, okay, I know that. They put out this band and this band, so I'm probably gonna like this band or whatever. But
I think Victory Records was doing that for a bit in the 90s, where they just did like straight edge, and then they were just doing hardcore for a while. Yeah. And then I mean, like every Victory release was awesome for like a minute there, And then I think like in the 2000s they started doing more emo stuff, and then some kind of screamo stuff, and then it just got weird. Like, I mean, there was, you know, you'd buy a record because it was on Victory and it was awesome for a long time, and then all of a sudden you get one and you'd be like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I mean, that's kind of, I mean, that's cool too. I mean, just to because, you know, you don't discover new stuff by just like going off of, you know, the same old stuff. I mean, there's so many times where you know, like I would find a band by accident, like their album cover was cool, like
exactly,
like you know, you just buy it purely on the album cover, and sometimes it was awesome, and sometimes it was like, whoa, you know, like the album cover is cool, but the record fucking sucks, you know. but one of the great 7-inches I bought was Raised Ignorant by Capitalist Casualties. And just because of the album cover was cool, and the logo was cool looking and stuff, and I had no idea what it was. I went home and put it on the turntable, and fucking, oh my god,
that was my first introduction to. There's so many albums. Yeah, it was the same thing. Like so many albums I bought. That was my introduction to the band Disrupt.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember Hastings? Hastings was like Book's music video. They were like I
don't know.
They were they were based out of Texas, but they had a bunch of them in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. They opened one in Coeur d'Alene. I worked there during high school.
Yeah.
But they used to have these big cutout bins. And they would have like because they were huge chains, so they just had tons of cassettes and CDs that they would get you know, in bulk, and then they would sell them through because they weren't selling in time and they were non-returnable. So they you'd go into Hastings one night and there'd be this big metal bin that was just full of cassettes and CDs that had a hole drilled through them because they were
promos,
yeah. So like they couldn't sell them anymore, so they mark them down to like $2-3 a piece, and they just fill these fucking bins, and you go through there and just dig through them, and like it was like, well, I could buy this new album that just came out, or I could look through here and see, I mean there was a period for like 2-3 years where no shit, it was all earache and like relapse stuff, like early relapse stuff, like old pitch shifter from like earache, and like old
in this box.
Yeah. Wow. In these cutout bins, there'd be like Napalm Death records and like a fucking Godflesh and like Lull and like all this stuff, and I just started, because I recognized those labels, I started just piling them on, because Relapse, I remember I had liked Exit 13, and I was a big fan of Brutal Truth.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when I found Disrupt, and I think it was the first, what was the name of it? Unrest was the album.
Oh, Unrest is incredible. I have it on white vinyl over there next to the full discography on black vinyl.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
if we had more time, I'd throw it on for you. But yeah.
Well, the cover, it was the original cover of just all those photos of like dude getting arrested.
Brutality.
And that caught my eye, and I was just like, fuck, that's cool. And because I mean, at the time there was a lot of Cannibal Corpse type bands, you know, like so there's like lots of painted covers, like all this really elaborate art, which I mean still is around today, but like it wasn't very often that you find something like that in a cutout bin. And it was like, well, if I could spend $20 and get like 6 different CDs or whatever and take them all home, you know, I found a bunch of like Triple X Records when they went out of business. Like a bunch of their shit was in the cutout bins. I bought like almost the whole DI discography like on CD.
Nice.
I got Horse Bites, Dog Cries for the first time for like $3.
Awesome.
And like all this stuff. So I was just piling on all these bands, and
cool thing about Disrupt that I always really liked was that like there was metal, and then, you know, talking about like, you know, bodies like coming out of graves and walking down the street and killing whatever and stuff,
right?
You know, but then Disrupt was talking about like, you know, like women's rights and, you know, animal rights and all kinds of cool stuff, and the album itself looks very punk rock,
right?
But then you get it on and it's just total brutal, and it's, you know, it's a lot of screaming and stuff, and I remember my wife bought me that full discography box set, thinking that it was just gonna be like the Sex Pistols or something. Right. I get it home and she's like, what the fuck is this?
It's just straight DB fucking
straight up like fucking brutality. Yeah. Just awesomeness. But I mean, all the lyrics are like you know, really fucking well written, and it's good stuff. Good band. Anyways, onward. Any advice for anybody that would be trying to put out a record themselves, or Like any
Like
do's and don'ts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know. We made a lot of mistakes over the years for sure. I mean, there's so many, like, hindsight's 2020. I look back at so many, like, releases, and even just for Scatterbox, like, I think about, like, all these, like, things we could have done that probably, you just didn't know about it. Like, you didn't know what you were doing at the time. So, I don't know. I mean, as far as, like, the vinyl thing goes, like, it's hard, like, now because it takes so long to get it back. It's like, it's, you know, as far as pressing vinyl goes, yeah, I mean, just make sure you get it mastered, you know, by somebody who knows how to master vinyl really well, and
Pay the extra $5. To get somebody good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, shop around. There's like 1 million pressing plants out there now, and I mean, there's some ones that are doing really good work for like a decent price. Like, it's not gouging and overcharging people,
but be patient now, because the presses are what? They're how many months behind are they now? Or
yeah, like almost a year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we put out
bands that break up before their stuff comes out.
Exactly. Yeah, we have 3 releases that we sent off everything from. For those releases, beginning of May, and we're not going to see them in hand until March of this coming year. Yeah, it's crazy.
Nuts. Yeah, it seems like all the bands that I was in, I got my little wall of fame of the 7 inches, and by the time like we got the records back, it was just like it was way too late. You know, like some of the bands I quit, you know, or got kicked out of, or whatever. The band just broke up because they were sick of playing the same show, you know, the same songs,
right?
And it was just like it just kind of became monotonous, because like the guy at the label would say like, oh, it'll be here this Friday, so we would write on the flyer like, you know, record release, and then we get there, and there was no records, and we just end up playing the same songs. We're just kind of looking at each other like, this is just getting frustrating, you know, and you know, and eventually you just get tired of it and whatever. But it is cool. There's nothing in the world like seeing a box of records come to your house that you're like your record. Like there's CDs. I mean, I've been on CDs, and you see them and you're like, I guess that's all right. You know, it's cool. Whatever. Yeah. But I mean, like records, you open it up and it's like you're immortalized. It's like, it's pretty awesome. So. Yeah,
it's strange. Like, putting out vinyl, it's like, I don't know. I mean, if I had any advice for any bands, I guess, is just be ready to be patient, and don't, I guess, you know, just take your time on it anyway. Like, don't put out any, like, for the sake of saving time on pressing vinyl or whatever with turnaround, it's like, don't rush anything as far as like your finished album goes.
Yeah.
Don't cut corners just to get something out sooner, because then you'll regret it for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, I have some other questions here. Do you have any top 5 albums by chance?
Top 5 albums? Holy shit. Oh, man.
I know, that's a rough one.
Dude, I don't know. That one would be really hard.
Pass.
Man. Like, if it was top 50, I could write a list.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, top 300 or something. I could do that, no problem.
Right.
But then, what is the first, right? Like, because I mean, music tastes change like all the time.
Right.
So, all right. Any interesting conspiracies, or like any kind of? Did you ever see UFOs or ghosts or anything like that? Or?
Yeah. So, when I was a little kid, I think it was like 5 or 6. I remember, and this is, I mean, it's pretty vivid, but who knows what the fuck it was, but I mean, I was with my mom and my sister, and we were coming back from somewhere in Portland, and we got out of the car and looked up in the air, and my mom and my sister had pointed out this like weird thing in the air that had a bunch of paneled lights on it, and it was overwhelmingly large. Like, it was not a plane. it was fairly low to the ground. It was moving. It was barely moving at the time. It was just kind of like hovering, and then just kind of like after about a good minute and 15 seconds, it just was gone. Like, it just disappeared. Like, it burned out. Like, the lights turned off or whatever.
Yeah.
Totally weird. Sister's freaking out. nobody knew what it was, and we lived in an apartment complex at the time. And even some of the neighbors were like, "What the fuck was that?" You know, like there were
Swamp
other,
gas. No.
yeah, because it was a big complex, so there were other people outside who saw it also, and they thought it was just bizarre, and everybody's kind of like tripping over it. And I never really like fell down into a lot of the conspiracy stuff. I watch a shitload of documentaries about lots of different conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But I remember that being a standout. It was really bizarre. And then my dad like saw something similar a couple of years ago. And he swears up and down, like he swears he saw an alien, like some sort of a UFO.
Cool.
But that was out in southern Idaho.
That's where it always is. It's like I saw a UFO
in the middle of fucking
in
nowhere.
Alaska. Yeah. Like there's a place called Nome, Alaska, which I guess is north of Bristol Bay somewhere or something, and that's where like a lot of that stuff happens. I don't know why. Maybe it's like I mean, who knows? But it's always in the middle of nowhere. Like so yeah, I've seen one.
I've been watching a lot of documentaries about the like money and like the Rothschild thing and how they're kind of incorporated with the world currency, and I always think that's pretty entertaining to watch. But
Yeah.
watch a lot of mafia documentaries. A ton of that shit.
I think there's a lot of really interesting ideas out there, and there's a lot of funny opinions and stuff, and there's documentaries about everything. There's like that Flat Earth Society or something, where these people are fucking dead set that there's no other like right answer.
Right.
That it's just like anytime they get interviewed, it's always like the same question or the same answers to every question or something like that. It's just, I mean, it's funny. There's a lot of weirdos out there and stuff, and there's a lot of like cool stories and. There's a lot of stuff that's also made to stir up fear and stuff, which I don't think is cool, like the media and stuff. And
I saw a documentary about the Flat Earth Society thing, and I don't know if it's a Flat Earth Society, but it was like a bunch of people who thought the world was flat.
Yeah.
And I watched this whole thing, and when it was over, I was kind of thinking to myself, like, has anybody ever... I mean, I would assume that, it's 2021, like... I would have assumed that science would have already privied somebody to like testing this theory, but like if you really wanted to know if the world was round, right? Why not get in a plane, take off, and just fly in a straight line?
Sure.
Will it take you back to where you took off from eventually?
Yeah, right.
I mean, if you're going in a linear straight line, like say you flew out from New York and you just went straight. You went east, right?
Sure.
You just go in a straight line. Will you wind up flying back into that airport?
Back into New York, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never, yeah.
Then, wouldn't that just answer the fucking question?
It would.
I
wonder if anybody's ever done that. Just like flown all the way around the world.
Right?
Yeah, they'd have to, yeah. Yeah.
Like it just, stop for gas if you have to, but like if you're going in a straight line, then obviously you're gonna wind up where you started if the planet is fucking round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, by the time like the Earth has done its rotation of 24 hours or whatever, you might end up in like Delaware or something. But but you'd still be back on the East Coast, right? I mean, you'd have to be. I mean, yeah. I don't know if anybody's ever done that. Maybe we should talk to Elon Musk or one of these rich guys who like feels like he has to go to the moon instead of like, or go to space instead of like solve like real problems in the world,
Well, there's those guys who like, they sail around the world. So I mean, that's the key word, around.
Around.
They're going around the world. So like that's why when I watch this movie and I think about the flat Earth thing, it just makes me laugh because it's like I'm pretty sure this shit's been proven already that nobody's gonna sail around the world and just make that shit up.
Yeah.
Be like, it's like no, I sailed around the world and I got to the end and there was nothing there. It just dropped off.
Just fell off into the abyss.
Like, is that what you really think it is? Is like the world just ends somewhere and that's it? Or is there a magnetic field that just keeps taking you in a weird circular motion that's not around? Like, I don't know.
That's very interesting.
But
but then again, those people that have sailed around the Earth, they might be agenda driven also. to prove. They think that maybe they're trying to prove that the world is round and maybe it is flat.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who really knows? Right?
I just get this mental picture of like the boat or like the car on the Monopoly board, right?
Yeah.
Like on a game board, or just like a fucking like a toy car on a table. Like you're driving. Is that what they think? Is like mentally, like is that the picture that they envision? Is it
Don't
the
get
same
too
thing?
close to the edge. Don't
Yeah,
get too
yeah.
close.
Like you just drive for a while, and then
fall
eventually
off.
it just falls off, and there's nothing there anymore. It's just darkness. Like is
just
that?
darkness, yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, some of these people need to they need to walk to the end of the trailer park and like maybe like go for a walk or go for a drive. You know, I mean,
get some air.
yeah, get some
Get some fresh air.
go see the next block over
Dude.
from where they're at. Yeah,
It's
that's
wild.
funny. So here's a question that's never been asked before. You ever been in jail?
Pass.
Cool, no problem.
I've come damn close.
Oh, okay.
Just put it that way.
Yeah, I'd say I've been in jail a couple of times just for like being drunk and disorderly and stuff. You know, and you spend a night in a drunk tank, you know, and whatever you get out. Like if you go in there on a Thursday or Friday, you know, the judge doesn't see you till Monday, so like, you know, you're in there for like 3-4 days sometimes. But I mean, I've done stuff that I should totally fry for. But thank God they never fucking, you know. You know, I took the wise advice of my father was do what you got to do, but then just get the fuck out of there as soon as, you know, don't stand over the body going, you know, take that motherfucker, you know.
Right.
You hear the sirens, that's
Right.
that's your cue to get the fuck out of there.
It's time to leave.
Time to leave.
Right.
Anything you'd like to promote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing a show tonight. but it probably will have already happened by now.
When people hear this will be like maybe a month or about a month and a half. Yeah, so he did play a really good show tonight.
It was amazing.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, we got a couple things coming up. So the Sterile Prayer dehiscent.
Well, whatever.
Split.
Yeah.
I always pronounce it fucking wrong. I don't
That's
know
all right.
why.
Like Bubbles says, decent.
That's awesome. So yeah, we've got that split coming out. So I mean, I'm assuming this is all going to take place in 2022. So yeah, we got a split coming out between Sterile Prayer and Dehiscent.
Sure.
God damn it.
It's fine.
It's like, and then we got a new Scatterbox record coming out eventually. New Sterile Prayer full length eventually. I'm assuming that like the Scatterbox and the full length for the Sterile Prayer thing will come out toward the end of 2022, and then the split will be a little sooner, just because of vinyl turnaround and all that. I got the Scatterbox movie documentary thing coming out next year that
I'm doing.
You are directing and releasing, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to come back over to Idaho just after Thanksgiving to redo some of the interviews because there was a bit of a audio problem that I don't really know how to fix, and it doesn't really matter anyway because like fuck it, I like going over there anyway. Go to Breakfast Nook.
Yeah.
Why not?
There's always other reasons to go.
Yeah, go hang out with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, just a bunch of Black House stuff coming out next year. New Oxbow record, but that's just a reissue of a record they did back in the mid '90s that never was released in the U.S. So we're doing that, and then the new No Face record is coming out in March or April. This grindcore band Annihilate Her, like ANISLEATEHER, and I'll 8 her from Atlanta. They're like this fucking weird tech death band.
Cool.
It's like mathcore thing.
Wow.
It was Slugchrist, the rapper. It was his first band. This is the band he was in. Just totally insane metal shit. We're doing their 10-year anniversary reissue of their album Phrenia that came out putting it out on vinyl for the first time ever, and
that's awesome.
That's about it. That's pretty much it. There's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of the gist of it.
That's the way it goes. Yeah.
Staying busy with the label stuff. So
totally. Try to do as many cool things as you can before you're dead.
Do shit that I think is cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hope that other people think it's cool too.
Yeah. And if they don't,
but
think
no
it's
guarantees.
Cool, then, yeah. If they don't think it's cool, then whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
You gotta do things for yourself, and hopefully people catch on. If they don't, it's fine. You know, it's like this podcast. There was a string of, where people, like, they only listen for like 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. So bands, advice to bands that want to do videos: keep the song that you record that you want to do a video for, keep it under 6 minutes. Toby Morse from H2O has a fucking really good podcast. I think it's called like One Choice, One Life, or something like that. I don't know. It's highly visible. Like, if you go to like Spotify and stuff, and he like interviews all his New York hardcore friends and stuff, and it's
I think I heard
awesome.
of this.
Dude,
Yeah,
it's so good. And it's like, I mean, it's just, I mean, I grew up like with all that stuff, like Madball and Sick of It All and Agnostic Front and all that stuff, and I really love the New York hardcore stuff. And he's like interviewing these guys like Craig Satari and stuff, just so awesome. And like, all these interviews are super cool, and they just talk about stuff. It's not like a real setup interview. I think he's got like 3 questions he asks, and then they just start talking, and it's just awesome. They get in like the best conversations, and you know, I kind of wish that my thing might sort of be modeled after that. I mean, I take a lot of inspiration from that, but also my friend Dave Larson from Seattle has a podcast called I've Known You Too Long, I believe, where he and,
is this like, the same Excursion?
Yeah,
Dave
Excursion.
Larson?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, super nice guy.
Yeah,
known him for years. So he does this podcast, and it's like he tries to figure out like how long, or like the exact date, or like even, you know, like whatever show or whatever cafe he met like half of his friends in and stuff. And I think that's really cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I was a big fan of the Excursion label.
Yeah.
Back in like I while it was active. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he stopped doing that a while ago, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything by him in a long time. But,
yeah. I had some of the old 1007 records and some of the Hutch stuff.
Yeah.
I remember Undertow and like
Undertow's
9 Iron
awesome.
Spitfire was pretty fucking rad.
Yeah.
Man, wasn't Jake from Minus the Bear and State Route 522? Remember that band? Have you ever heard them?
I remember them. I don't know much about Minus the Bear.
Yeah, like the singer of Minus the Bear.
Huh.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure he was in that band.
The only thing I know about Minus the Bear was this practice space that I used to be in down in Belltown called the Institution. There is a bathroom, but then there was like a door right next to the bathroom door that was never open. And then I don't know, I just always wondered, like, it might be just like a closet, or like, you know, that's where they keep the brooms or whatever and stuff. One day it was open. It was this huge band practice space, and I walk in and I'm like, hey, you were in Botch. And he goes,
Dave
yeah,
Knudsen or whatever.
Yeah. And he goes, yeah. And he's like, you were in Everything with Black. And I was like, yeah, man, we used to fucking play shows together. And I didn't know his name. I don't think he knew my name or anything, but you know, you never forget a face. And then so I walk in and I go, so what are you guys doing in here? Well, like, what's this band? And he goes, oh, this is Minus the Bear. And I was like, you know, I've never seen this band before, and I don't know if I've even heard it, but like, a lot of women I know like love this band. Like, yeah, their bras fucking burn for this band. You know,
I remember when Minus the Bear's first album came out, and it was getting like, it was like this weird like kind of cult thing that was going on, and then like a couple years later, I was listening to the radio, like mainstream radio, like I can't even remember. It was like fucking Kiss FM though. It was like the, you know, easy listening station. Yeah. And they were giving away tickets to Minus the Bear in Spokane.
Whoa.
They're like, caller number 9 will win, you know, and then they go on to play some like romantic music, you know, like on Kiss FM or whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, whoa. Nice. Minus the Bear is like a fucking It's like fuck music for
Yeah,
like
God.
indie kids or whatever. Like,
That's great.
but they were good though. I mean, they're not a bad band by any stretch. In fact, Jake, I mean, he
I just don't think I've ever heard him. But I mean, like, yeah, a lot of women I knew back in the back when they were big or something. Just like you just say their name and they would like pass out or
Right.
something. Yeah.
all is well that ends well for the Seattle scene though, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
God, I'm surprised we haven't talked about that. Jesus.
Yeah.
The music scene in this area just over the years is insane.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's just as big, or if not bigger than LA ever was. Or I mean, there's so much that came out of here, and it's not even just like Nirvana and Soundgarden. I mean, The Accused is from here. People that don't know who The Accused is, it's fuck. I don't know what to tell you.
I think it's kind of neat that Seattle like made it
Yeah.
through that whole grunge thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it kind of like it became a mainstay amidst all the bullshit that
Yeah.
took place during those years.
Sure.
And it's nice to see that like it still thrives really well on its own. It just kind of proves that it wasn't really just all marketing bullshit. It wasn't all just media hype or whatever.
Yeah.
It was, there were like solid labels, there's solid bands, there's always solid musicians coming out of this area. There's, and it's like nothing slowed it down. Even, after, I mean, there was a really sad period where a lot of people like OD'd and died and shit. And
Yeah.
It still happens, but it's like, it's,
I was talking to somebody about that.
for
Yeah,
sure.
I was talking to somebody about that one time, and they kind of laid it out for me about the Chris Cornell thing and stuff, and the suicide and everything. It's really sad.
Was he living in Seattle when that happened?
I'm not sure.
Or did he move away years ago? Or
I
did
think he moved to Paris, I believe.
Really?
Something strange like that. Yeah, somewhere in Europe. I think it might have been Paris. Yeah. My wife and I were waiting for a train from London to Liverpool, and the news came on and it said, Chris Cornell, suicide thing, and we're just like totally bummed. And then I think from the train ride from London to Liverpool, I listened to Soundgarden the whole way on my iPod and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool, but I maybe he could hear me from whatever nether region he was in or something. Or
Yeah, it was just weird because that came out of left field.
Oh, it was
Nobody
weird.
saw that coming.
Yeah.
But I guess when do you see that sort of shit
Yeah,
coming?
yeah. It's always a surprise. Like, you just always think like, God, that guy was on top of the world.
Right.
Like Anthony Bourdain. I mean, that guy,
Right.
I guess it's just like, you see everything, like you get to see everything in the world, and then you just like nothing is off limits to some people,
Right.
and then after a while it probably just gets boring. It's like me, like when I obsess about like a Metallica record or something like that, I finally find it I bid for it or whatever, or I find it in a record store or something like that, and all of a sudden it's over. It's like, okay, well, now I have it. That's great.
It's like those little dopamine highs, you know?
Yeah.
Of like, it's like, what next?
Satisfaction is the death of desire.
Right.
So but I was talking to somebody about that whole thing, and they kind of laid it out for me and stuff, and basically, kid goes to work, goes to a job, hates his fucking job, so then he starts a band, to like to have something to do other than like just going to a job.
Exactly.
And then a big label sweeps in and buys their band, and then that becomes their job.
Yeah.
So
and then they're held to
yeah.
X amount of standard.
Sure.
Oh, you need to give us 8 albums
Yeah.
over the course of 15, 20 years,
Sure. Yeah. You just are.
or we're gonna sue the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
Like it's.
So the one thing that gave you like peace in the world becomes your job. So now you have nothing.
Right.
And then so some people, they turn to drugs because it's so easy. Like, I mean, especially in the rock world. I mean, I don't know. I've never been there, so I don't exactly know. But I've seen enough.
The Escape or whatever.
I've seen enough documentaries on Motley Crue and stuff, and how drugs are just there, like, so you can either do them or you don't. But like, I don't know. But I mean, like, so I would imagine that being in a band that you have to get. I mean, granted, you get to go to Europe and go see the world and everything and whatever, but I mean, it's a job.
Yeah.
And then so then that gets taken away from you, and then you end up trying to do this drug thing, and then there's people that try to get off the drugs. Like I've known people that have tried to quit heroin and it killed them. So it's like, I mean, they just died. like their body just was just like, give me this or you're done.
You just fall apart. Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
it's weird though, because music has always kind of been secondhand to, well, not secondhand, but like it's almost like they're conjoined. It's like the party scene and music are always very close. And I mean, even Scatterbox, like all of us were in that world for a while. I mean, not to like not as many as extremes as others maybe, but certain members and stuff, like it's real easy to fall into that trap when you feel like when you're playing music, you're getting into a thing that where you don't, even if it's not like a career thing, like it's strange because it's like that's your escape, right? Like the music is your escape, and that's where you get to kind of shirk all your responsibilities and just have fun. But then you want to have fun in other ways, and that's there, and it's real easy to slip into it. I mean, that's how I was with booze for a long time. Like I was drinking. I mean, I don't drink anymore, but like it was getting to a point where, you know, when you're drinking a fifth to a half gallon of vodka a day,
holy shit,
like that's not a good place to be, you know.
No.
Like it's I mean, I'm thankful that I was able to have and I don't know if it's like a genetic thing where like you like some people have like I'm told that, you know, some people have an addictive personality, some people don't. I was lucky enough to be able to kind of wean myself off drinking as much as I was and actually like get my fucking life together before it got even worse, because there were some dark times for sure.
You're lucky. Yeah, you're definitely lucky, because I've seen drugs and alcohol just kill just about everybody I ever loved in the 90s. And
well, I'm lucky I didn't get into harder stuff, you know.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you know, to some, like alcohol is just like a scratching the surface of what, you know, some of these guys have gotten into over the years. And like I've seen some of my friends like get into, I mean, I've seen friends die from it, you know. Like we had a friend that died.
They're lucky if they die. Right. I mean, you it's sad, but it's almost like
wind up in prison for like ever, and then they have to like kick, you know.
One guy, sickness and prison would be
we had a friend that was like really stuck on heroin for a long time, and he ended up having to kick heroin like in prison. And he said it was the worst fucking experience of his life. Like that was enough to make him like fully quit, like for good.
I would have just hung myself probably.
Yeah, he said it was pretty horrible.
Yeah. Like, oh man. But I can't imagine. Yeah.
But I hear, you know, I'm still friends with people who have kicked heroin successfully, and
that's good.
And they, you know, it never really goes away.
No.
He says it's always kind of in the back of your head, like kind of talking to you, like, hey, I'm here still. But, you know, you do things to try to make that voice quieter, you know, so it doesn't.
I've heard that, I mean, I have friends that were into heroin and stuff, and thank God they were able to quit, but they say that they think about it all the time. Like, they're just, it's basically like something, I mean, you know, I mean, you can go to NA, and that's why people go to AA or something, you know, because they're alcoholics or whatever and stuff, and they find coping tools to like calm the voices down or something or whatever. But I mean, like, but heroin and like meth, I've heard, are just like
you can't shut that voice up.
It just gets louder and louder. Yeah, from what I'm told, you know, thank Christ, I've never done anything more than like acid. And I did acid twice, scared the shit out of myself both times. Like it just doesn't interest me to be like that, like
that shit's fun
on the other side of the mirror kind of thing. I know people like you that have probably done it more than 100 times.
I wouldn't say I haven't done it that many times.
Oh, okay. No. I know people that have done it over 100 times.
I've done it plenty, and I did enjoy it like pretty much every time I did it. But I had to stop because it was just like, it just kicks your ass when it goes away, you know what I mean? Like when it, you know, the come down is awful. Like it was fucking terrible.
I remember my stomach hurt and my whole body just kind of hurt, and it's like those nights where you're drinking and you end up walking home, and then your legs hurt the next day because you don't even know why. But it's like because you're so drunk that every step you took, you almost fell over, so you had to catch yourself. And then so you end up like stomping all the way home to where like your legs just were killing you. But
I just remember feeling like I used like 4 days of energy in like 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours, and like then you want to try to rest and sleep and you just can't. You just feel like shit, and and it feels so crappy that you actually can't fall asleep. Like, how lame is that?
That's a weird thing about LSD too, is that like you can't sleep. Like you just are you bought the ticket, you're taking the ride, you know, for like 12 hours or so fucked. Or whatever. Yeah, you're fucked. Yeah, you're on it. And there is that weird chance. I mean, I don't know so much with acid, but I've heard like people taking mushrooms and just like never coming back. You know, it's like they did it and they're just, I mean, I've had a few friends that I knew, I haven't seen them in years and stuff, but I mean, they just are they're still on it, you know, and they're just it's just
they just never really made it all the way home.
All the way home, yeah. They just it's fucked, man. It's so scary. But I mean, you know, I just wish that like hydroponic weed had been around in the 80s and 90s and stuff, you know, because I mean, all we had was like the outdoor grown stuff and the Mexican weed and the dirt weed and the you know, if you were lucky, you got your hands on some medical stuff or like or like the Maui Wowie and stuff. And but I mean, like after a while, like even weed was not enough for some people, you know. And I've always kept it like on, you know, just beer and weed, just nothing but beer and weed. And if the weed isn't like doing anything to you, just take a little break. And
on the other hand, though, it is kind of cool though when you see like people who were in bad shape, such as yourself at the time, pull it together too, though, and then you see them like years later. Like it's like it's either one of two things. Like it goes both ways. It's like people either like deteriorate and or die or whatever, and then their lives fall apart or whatever, or even people that thought maybe you even perceived them to be in worse shape than yourself. Like if you know if you were having an issue or whatever, like you run into them like years later and they're like totally clean and like they're like a whole different person. You're like, whoa, shit! It's like a breath of fresh air. It's
they're like better than they ever were. They had to go that way. To find themselves somehow or something. I don't know.
My big thing was like personally, like I got so busy. Like thankfully I was able to focus on so many, just stay busy all the time. That I just don't have time to do it. Like I mean I couldn't imagine trying to like get shit faced right now. Like there's too much to do. Like I gotta go play a show after this, and I'm driving back to home, and then I'm hanging out with my daughter all day tomorrow, and like, it's just there's too many things that require my attention and like focus that I can't just
My brother said that he was like hungover one time and he had to hang out with his daughter who was just bouncing all over the walls and he just couldn't even handle it anymore, so he just quit drinking.
I can see that much, that'd be enough to make
like hungover, just like throwing up and then having to deal with his daughter just like being so needy and stuff, and being a daughter. I mean, she doesn't know that.
They don't. I mean, they're just being kids.
Dad's got really fucked up the night before or something.
And like and that's the thing is like it's you get to make that choice. It's like and and if you feel like shit, you have no one else to blame but yourself. That should be your punishment. It's like
sure, absolutely. I mean, there's been times where like I wanted to feel sorry for myself because I was so hungover or something or whatever, but then I was just like, you know what? Like nobody put the beer in your hand. Nobody said you had to like do that shot or whatever, or when people are doing shots, it's like you don't have to do it.
Right.
Like my funny thing I always say to people is, because I don't really like a lot of hard alcohol anyway, but like people always like I'm gonna buy you a shot. I'm like, no, don't do it, don't waste your money. And they're like, come on, do a shot with me. And I'm like, I didn't go to college, so I don't know how to do it. So I got a shot bought for me in Sayulita, Mexico on my 37th birthday in the only sports bar in the town, and the guy bought me a shot. The guy behind the bar bought me a shot, and then of tequila or something. And I hate tequila anyway. But like I was already so drunk that I remember like just getting it in my mouth, and then just I couldn't figure out how to swallow it all or something. So I kind of like tilted my head back, kind of opened my mouth a little bit like I was gargling a little bit. I just couldn't figure it out, so I turned around and I spit it all over the bar, and the guy was like, get the fuck out of here. No, shit. I was like, but that's too bad. If the world goes back to normal, what's on your COVID bucket list?
Oh man, Like what like if shit's like
if it goes back to the way it was. I think one of my I think the one thing that I really want to do is go see Metallica. Like I never went to go see them because I always thought like, I mean, they've always been one of my favorite bands, but I don't really like some of the things they involve themselves with and stuff, and it's really none of my business anyway. You know, I mean, those guys are rich beyond like they're fucking. You know, those guys were complaining about people like ripping off their music and stuff while they're driving around in nickel-plated Corvettes and stuff. And I just thought like, God, what a fucking asshole move to like try to sue your fans. Right. But they're like the best band ever. I mean, it's, you know, it's arguable, I guess, but like, so I never went to go see them. And then like when COVID came around, the pandemic, all the lockdowns and stuff, and you know, they were like canceling concerts and stuff, and I just thought like, fuck, I may never actually get to see him. So I thought like, you know what, I don't even care how much it costs. And another part of this bucket list item is not to even bother seeing him in Seattle, because I mean Seattle people with like metal is different. Like here it's like I want to see him in Spokane. Right. Yeah, because I mean, like, you know, when
the arena.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah, like the tailgate party's probably going to be totally insane.
Yeah,
you're going to be
heavy metal parking lot,
shit faced. Yeah, yeah. It's like I don't know. Seattle people are funny in a way that like Quiet Riot when they reformed in the 90s or something, were doing like a few little shows here and there and stuff, and people would walk out of the places and be like, oh, I can't believe I just saw Quiet Riot, haha, you know, laughable or something. And then people in Spokane were like, I can't fucking believe I saw Quiet Riot. You know, like the metal heads.
It's because nobody ever comes to Spokane.
Yeah, the metal heads over there are like insane. So like that's definitely like something I want to go.
Any like big metal show over there is like an event.
Experience Metallica with like really fucking bitchin' metal fans and stuff. You know, I think that'd be awesome.
People don't get to see it very often.
Yeah.
They don't get to like pick and choose as often.
Yeah. But yeah, if you got a bucket list item.
I don't know. Like I mean, I want to go to Hawaii. I want to go to Japan. I want to try and go to Europe. I mean, a lot of it for me is just traveling. Yeah. To be able to go overseas or go out of the U.S. again would be, I mean, even just go to Canada again would be nice.
Yeah.
Without having to jump through a million hoops. Like we had it the last time we tried to go to Canada, you had to have, you had to have proof of a negative COVID test within 48 hours. You had to present that at the border.
Yeah.
Along with proof of vaccination. You have to download some app where you record where you're staying and where you go while you're there. You have to quarantine for the first 14 days you're in Canada. And I don't know if those are like, if that's the case
now
for other countries, but I mean, even just to be able to like feel like you can freely travel abroad would be nice enough.
That's what a lot of people say, is that like a lot of things that they just never did. Like it's funny how it doesn't seem like a big deal until it's taken away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not even like on anybody's day planner or anything. But then as soon as like it gets ripped out of your hands, it's like, oh fuck that, I may never be able to do that.
Right.
So like now it's like, you know, if we go back to a state of normalcy or something, you know, I mean you can go to England now. I mean there's England's beautiful.
Yeah, my parents have been there a handful of times. They said it's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's super cool. Have full English breakfast every single day.
Yeah, that rules.
That'd be awesome. I did it once. So yeah. I had stomach problems when I got back to Seattle. But
yeah, that'd just be the big thing for me, is to be able to just travel.
Yeah.
You know. And I mean, there's not really a whole lot stopping me right now, I guess.
Sure.
As far as like traveling within the U.S., it's just.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to go to other countries and check it out and see. I mean, I'm not getting any younger, so.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a lot.
I'm going to do it. Now's probably the time. So.
As Henry Rollins once said, a brilliant quote. He said, "There's a lot more time behind me than is in front of me." So,
right.
Yeah. So. But anyways, so yeah, I know we got to go here. Anything you'd like to close with? Anybody you'd like to say hi to or give a shout out to or anything?
Yeah. Say hi mom and dad. Both my in-laws, my wife Marie, my daughter Quinn. Hi. She wanted to shout out Quinn. She wanted me to mention her on the show.
Cool.
And then I got to ask her about the kitty thing the cat drawing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's pretty much it. Go to blackhouserecordsinc.com. Check out some of our releases and Sterile Prayer, new album next year. Couple things. That's about it.
Cool. Well, thanks for driving all the way over from Idaho just to be on the show.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
All right. That's it for now. Stay tuned for the next episode. Not sure who's going to be on the next episode, honestly. Otherwise, I'd say it. Anyways, we'll just call that. What? Oh yeah. Please like, subscribe. Hit the notification bell, please. Not for my benefit, but for yours, because I do this for you. Anyways, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next Sunday. All podcasts will be released on Mondays. Yeah. Okay. Bye.